So you've come to San Francisco. I just love the story of how you came really young and kind of wild and carefree, making your beautiful ensembles, and just dove right into the sex culture, creating Mission Control, starting all these new projects, now having the project with Christopher Ryan that I'm pretty excited about, by the way. And what's in store for the future, you know, beyond the book? Now you have this book, it seems like it's going to grow, but what else do you have in mind, or what in addition do you have in mind?
Well, I'm really focusing right now on opening more kinky salons. I really want to replicate that experience in as many cities as possible. So I'm looking for teams of volunteers to help make that happen. We have them in 9 cities so far, and a couple of cities are on the cards right now. We've got LA and Sacramento that are about to come online. But I'm also talking more. I want to start speaking and becoming a kind of a spokesperson for sex culture and the things that are happening right now culturally around sexuality.
And it seems like an amazing time to be a part of the sex culture revolution, as it were. I mean, it just seems like to me that there's so much more education and awareness, and in some ways openness. I mean, of course, in a lot of ways, closure too. So there's that part of being a sex culture revolutionary who gets to be in the throes of this passion and this vision and this big movement and change. And then there's also the sort of activist, in a way, who's kind of trying to bump up against where it still needs work.
Yeah, well, you know, I think the sexual revolution really started, the one that started in the 60s. I mean, sexual revolutions have been happening since the age of reason, since people started to really think about their own morality and make their own decisions and their own question what was right and wrong. And I think since the sexual revolution in the 60s, particularly in the West, obviously, there's been this huge transformation that's really kind of unthinkable, the way that we operate around sexuality compared to 50 years ago. But there are a lot of problems with it too. It's kind of like a teenager now, and there's all kinds of confusion and difficulty around it. Culturally, we have much more acceptance that sexuality exists, that it happens, and that people have sex. That as a concept is even something that's just so crazy for 50 years ago, that unmarried people, even married people having sex and enjoying it was completely taboo. So we're really moving forward, but we're also faced with a lot of challenges. So one thing that I often talk about is the objectification of women and sexual objectification in general, because I see it as being one of the real sticking points culturally, one of the really dangerous places that a lot of people get confused, like, because the sexual revolution has happened and there's these images that are sexy, that people are like, well, we don't understand, Polly, what's the problem with that? It's sexy. And there's a big difference between sexual attractiveness and seeing a fully realized human being as a sexual creature than just like taking one element of a human being and portraying that, like an ad, for example, that has just lips on it or just an ass on it, where you're like, we don't even care about who this person is. They're not a human. They're just an object of sexuality.
Yeah, and that's a really big topic, and I wish we could talk more about that today, but I think what we're going to do is find some closure here so that we can let you go out into the world and create some of that vision that you're so obviously talented at, and see where you go with the book, with kinky salons all around the world, and getting your voice out there, which is a very important one.
Yay, thank you. And if anyone wants to find out more about what I'm doing, they can go to kinkysalon.com to learn about all the kinky salons happening all over the world. And also, if they're interested in starting one themselves, there's a form to fill out on that website. They can also check out kotango.com, which is KOTANGO, to sign up on the social network for open relationships. And to find out more about me and my book and my appearances and all the stuff that I'm up to, they can go to pollysuperstar.com, and that's Polly with 2 L's.
And I'm Eve Minax. You can find me at eveminax.com and mistressminax.com, amongst other places. So, Polly, thanks so much for coming out and talking with me today here on this beautiful rainy day in San Francisco. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with the new kinky salons all around the world, and your vision and your voice getting out there all over the world. And don't forget, this book is really amazing, people. You can look it up on Amazon.
Yeah, you can find it on just about any online retailer. Yay, thank you. It's been so much fun.
Yay!